What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome back to the Sooner Surge. If you are not subscribed to our channel, please do so because you will find content upon content upon content, Sooner style. The Sooner softball team has just completed the unprecedented 4 straight natty for Patty, going for 5 next year. But before we talk about next year, let's recap this amazing season and just talk about some of the things that stood out to each of us. Before we get started, though, check out the Fanstop, fanstop.com. Use code SURGE. Sign up for the Shirt of the Month Club. You'll get 10% off. So, yeah, guys, what stood out to you most in looking back and reflecting on this amazing season? What's one thing that really stood out to you?
For me, I go back to when we started doing preseason videos. The one thing I think we all talked about it, OU fans and even Patty Gasso, was this, quote, 6-headed monster from this pitching staff, what they had. And you kind of look at it, started off, they were using a lot of arms, using a lot in the circle. And then as the season progressed, they kind of narrowed it down. And really, mostly you were seeing Maxwell, May, and Deal, and then down the stretch it even got smaller. I mean, you would see Keeney every once in a while, a little bit of Monticelli, but not a whole lot. But what I think is really cool about the season is in fast forward to the last game of the season, you see 5 of the 6 pitchers. I think that is like unbelievable. Maybe it is unprecedented. It's never happened in a World Series game where you've pitched 5 pitchers from one side. So I just think it's really cool how it went from, talking about having that many pitchers, and then it narrowed down. They weren't using that many, but then when it really mattered the most, they used 5. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Jay. And as you were saying, how they ended up really at the end of the year going down to Maxwell and May. That's mainly really all you saw. Like, you saw a little bit of Deal, but that kind of just speaks about the season, how this was a season of really ups and downs accustomed to what we were seeing for an Oklahoma team. There was even a point of the year after in which Oklahoma lost to BYU, in which Patty Gasso was questioning whether or not this team this year had what it took to win a national championship with how that they were playing. And we saw them obviously figure things out, find a way to win the national championship. And also, really, as you just saw the season continue to go on, you saw Oklahoma find so many different ways to win ball games. And I think that just truly showed the experience and growth we saw this team take, even though they were experienced from the beginning to the end of the year, was just because they started to do things in so many different ways. And Oklahoma, I don't remember if they finished off the regular season with 7 or 8 losses, but it felt like a season in which Oklahoma didn't even play close to their best ball during the regular season, and they still ended up winning their 4th straight national championship.
Yeah, and for me, I'm going with the thing that really stood out to me in reflecting and reminiscing on this season. You go back to the Battle Series. Obviously, Hannah Core was elite in that. Another name that was really good was Cassidy Pickering. Nobody knew how special Ella Parker and Cassidy Pickering would be on this team. The fact that they pretty much played on a nightly basis, never really sat out. To me, I envision the baton being passed, the torch being passed down. You had over in this side all that core group of seniors, and then you had the young guns right down here, and they merged together perfectly. And what I see as a passing of the torch, you heard Patty Gasso say in the post-game presser, she's going to coach. She's going to keep coaching. She can't wait to continue to build the next legacy with some of these young players. And so I'm really going to remember, because, I mean, you can say what you want. They would not have won a 4 straight natty without the 2 freshmen.
No, they wouldn't have. And Jeremy, another thing that I think is really cool about this team is they don't win a national championship without Avery Hodge. Don't forget the Florida game. They were down 1. She got the double and ended up scoring on the, I think, Parker hit. But she had some huge hits down the stretch, and I'll say it again. Same with Sydney Sanders, 3-run double. I just think that's what's cool about this team is everybody had an impact on big games throughout the season and game-changing plays that were made. So I think that's cool because Hodge is another one that kind of when Torres was playing, Hodge was getting some time, but not all the time. And then to step up the way she did in the World Series, I thought was awesome. And let me go back to something Jackson said about, and I think we've all talked about it. I think a lot of the fans talked about it. And maybe it's not fair because here's what I think now, looking back on the season, now that you're out of the season, it's over, you can kind of reflect and you can kind of see some things that I don't think I saw as a fan in the season. And here's what it is was it really the OU was struggling in some areas and not hitting? Or is it the fact that the other softball teams are getting better? And I think that's part of it. I think, yes, I mean, OU just didn't kill everybody and dominate, and they lost some games. They still won a natty. But it's also because, guys, Texas, good team. Okay, they beat OU twice in a row this year. OSU, good team. I think OSU is as good as they've been, right? They had a good team. So I think sometimes we want to look at OU when we have this laser focus towards OU of, well, they're struggling, not hitting. Well, sometimes let's give credit because the parity out there in college softball right now is getting better. It really is. And with the portal, it's going to continue to get better.
Yeah, Jason. And something that got really just elite for Oklahoma as it came down to the end of the season was Kelly Maxwell. And that's what I'm going to talk about. Her performance in the Women's College Softball World Series was dominant, about as dominant as Jordy Ball was whenever she pitched versus Florida State in that series. Kelly Maxwell was having her way. It didn't matter who she faced. She stepped up in the biggest moments. Her mental approach to the game, she talked about, changed so much. Working with Jen Rocha and Patty Gasso, how much video and film that they would watch. And you saw Kelly Maxwell. The reason she came to Oklahoma was to not only take her game to the next level, but was to win a national championship. She got both of those things done on the biggest stage and showed why she came to Oklahoma. She got her job done. She finished her business. And she came to Oklahoma, as I said, to win a national championship. And Kelly Maxwell proved a lot of the doubters wrong. And I know she got a ton of hate from a lot of people whenever she transferred to Oklahoma. But she continued to find a way through that and continued to prove the doubters wrong as she won Oklahoma the 4th straight national championship.
And also added a mop to her collection as the most outstanding player. Before we get off this video here, guys, let's talk about the highlight moment of the season, in your opinion. What is the one play, one moment that you would say, yep, that's the one I'm going to remember for the rest of my life?
You know, there's about 3 or 4 I could say. I would be wrong to not see anything with Kelly Maxwell. Kelly Maxwell, just the image of her hugging Kenzie Hansen is etched in my mind. But this may shock you. The play that stands out to me, because I think it was the game-winning play, was Sydney Sanders' 3-run double. I mean, if they don't score there, who knows? I mean, they may still win the game, but they may not. They were down 3-2 at the time, and that was a massive hit with 2 outs, I believe, and a 3-2 count. I'm going to remember that because if you remember, there was so much criticism of Sydney Sanders on fielding, even the game before, hitting, not being able to hit, and in that moment to get that hit, kudos.
Yeah, Jason, that's a play I was going to say, but another play that I have in my mind was just Kelly Maxwell's play, I think, throughout the whole entire Women's College Softball World Series, as I said earlier. Not that there's really one play or one pitch that comes to mind, but just the way that she dominated in so many facets of the game is what stood out. And she continued, as I've said, to show why she was the ace throughout the postseason on this Oklahoma team and why she came to Oklahoma.
And mine it's Jada Coleman. It's Jada Coleman's opposite field game-winning walk-off home run in an elimination game, a game that if OU loses, they're not playing for a 4th natty. That's what stands out to me as the biggest moment. But listen, there's so many of them that we could talk about. And, hey, we will be talking. Oh, yeah, Peyton Monticelli's facing the bases loaded there. That was huge. But we will continue to talk about it. We're going to have a video dedicated to the seniors only and what they've meant to this program. We're going to project next year's team and look at those all here on the Sooner Surge. So make sure you're subscribed. Appreciate you watching this content, this video. Till next time, Boomer.
Sooner.